So I want you to imagine stepping through this massive, heavy wooden doorway.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Right. And you plant your left foot down on these really worn, uneven cobblestones.
Yeah.
Instantly, your senses are just hit with the smell of wood smoke and like roasting meat.
Oh, wow. Sounds intense.
It is. You're surrounded by these merchants in heavy wool tunics, stirring these massive iron pots of bear stew. But before your right foot even lands, the whole scene shifts.
Wait, shifts how?
Like suddenly you're standing in this sleek glass and steel industrial hub, right? It's bathed in neon light, and developers from Tokyo and Toronto are aggressively pitching next-generation AI startups.
I mean, that genuinely sounds like a glitch in the Matrix, or, like a big-budget movie set where the props department got horribly, horribly confused about which century they were dressing.
It really does. But I promise you, it is not a movie set. Welcome to today's deep dive. I am so thrilled you could join us today because we are heading to a place that literally defies the standard rules of linear time.
Yeah, time just sort of bends there.
Exactly. We've got a massive stack of materials on the table for you today. We are talking curated 2026 event calendars, deep-cut museum catalogs.
Oh, the museum catalogs are fascinating.
They really are. And we have these comprehensive travel guides, all focused on Estonia. Specifically, we're looking at the capital city of Tallinn and its surrounding nature.
And, just looking through this stack with you, it's immediately clear we are not going to be reading off some standard top 10 tourist traps list.
No, absolutely not.
The sheer density and variety of what is happening in this country in 2026 is just staggering.
Which brings us to our mission for you today. We are going to cut entirely through that typical tourist noise.
Right, get into the good stuff.
We've synthesized all these materials to curate the ultimate tailored blueprint for your 2026 travels. Our goal is to show you exactly how to navigate a country that operates basically like a cultural time machine.
I love that description.
Okay, let's unpack this, because we really have to start by looking at this wildly contrasting timeline. When you look at the events kicking off the summer, you have the Tallinn Old Town Days happening in early June. Specifically June 6th to the 8th.
Right. And this isn't just, people throwing on cheap polyester costumes for a parade.
Oh no, not at all.
No, it is a fiercely protected, highly immersive experience. You have actual medieval craftsmen. We're talking master glassblowers, blacksmiths, weavers.
Doing it exactly how it was done back then.
Exactly. They're demonstrating techniques that genuinely haven't changed in 500 or 600 years.
Right. The Old Town, which is already this remarkably preserved UNESCO World Heritage Site, essentially just reverts to its Hanseatic League roots, which, by the way, I think we need to quickly clarify for you.
Absolutely. So if you are unfamiliar, the Hanseatic League was essentially this massive, incredibly powerful, medieval, commercial, and defensive confederation.
Like a really early trade union, almost.
Yeah. Think of it as a medieval precursor to a free trade zone, and it completely dominated the Baltic Sea. Tallinn was a crucial node in this network. They were trading furs, wax, salt, grain.
Just massive amounts of wealth moving through there.
Exactly. And that immense flow of wealth is exactly why the architecture of the Old Town is so grand and imposing. Those towering stone merchant houses, they weren't just homes.
What were they?
They were essentially fortified vaults for luxury goods.
Wow. And you can really feel that weight when you walk through it. But then, literally just weeks prior, in late May, Tallinn hosts Latitude 59.
May 21st and 22nd, I believe.
May 21st and 22nd. This is their massive flagship tech and startup conference. It draws thousands of investors and founders from all over the globe, and it's heavily driven by their e-residency community.
And we should definitely pause on e-residency for a second because it is crucial to understanding modern Estonia.
Oh, definitely. It's groundbreaking.
Estonia was the first country in the world to offer government-issued digital identities to anyone on the planet.
Which is wild when you think about it.
Yeah. It really is. You could be sitting in your apartment in Brazil, apply to be an Estonian e-resident, and suddenly you can start an EU-based company, sign documents digitally, and just run a business entirely online.
They essentially created a completely borderless digital society.
Exactly.
Which brings this flood of forward-thinking digital innovators right into Tallinn. But okay, the kicker is the venue.
Oh, the venue is the best part.
Latitude 59 is held in the Tallinn Creative Hub. And this isn't some, sterile, boring convention center. It is a converted municipal power station built in 1913.
So cool.
Right, so you have the architects of the global digital future pitching AI startups inside this raw, century-old industrial relic of brick and steel. And This extreme contrast completely bleeds into the food, too.
It really does. Food is a huge part of this.
Right. Like, if you want to eat like one of those wealthy 15th century merchants we just talked about, you go to Old Hansa. You sit down by candlelight, you eat this rich bear stew, but you will not find a single potato on the menu.
Which is such a brilliant, obsessive historical detail, because of course, potatoes hadn't been introduced to Europe from the Americas yet in the 15th century.
They just weren't there.
Right. So they are committing entirely to this pre-Columbian exchange culinary reality. It forces you to taste the era exactly as it was.
It is absolute dedication. Or, you can walk across the town hall square to the third dragon, drink this deeply savory elk soup out of a clay pot, and literally reach into a giant wooden barrel to fish out your own pickle.
Which is an experience everyone should have at least once.
Highly recommend the pickle barrel. But then you give yourself absolute whiplash. You head over to the Nobelster Seafront Quarter to visit the Pro-Tow Invention Factory.
Right, completely different vibe.
Completely. It's packed with cutting-edge virtual reality science exhibits. Or you take an elevator, a dizzying 175 meters up into the sky at the Tallinn TV tower. It honestly feels like exploring Tallinn is like living in a time machine with a broken dial.
A broken dial, I like that.
But I have to push back here, because as a traveler, I'd be a little skeptical. Like, how does a city balance this? Is this extreme contrast intentional? Or did the tech sector just accidentally crash into a medieval Renaissance fair and the city just decided to roll with it?
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Doesn't it risk feeling a little bit like a cheesy theme park?
What's fascinating here is that this juxtaposition is absolutely the bedrock of their modern identity. And it avoids that theme park trap precisely because it is totally authentic. It's not an accident at all.
Really? So it's very deliberate.
Very. We often think of history as something that, holds us back from the future. But here, innovation actually thrives best when it is grounded in a meticulously preserved past.
How so?
Well, think about the psychology of it. When a society knows exactly where it came from, when they can literally walk outside and run their hands over the 15th century limestone walls built by their ancestors, they are entirely unmoored from the anxiety of losing their identity.
Oh, wow. That is a really profound way to look at it.
They don't have to fiercely protect their culture from the encroaching future because their culture is already built out of immovable stone.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
Right. And that deep foundational security allows them to take massive, fearless leaps forward into deep tech and digital societies. They can build a virtual reality factory or launch a global digital residency program without ever fearing it will overwrite the elk soup or the cobblestones.
Because both things have their own space.
Exactly. Both the past and the future have their dedicated, deeply respected space.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because they don't just preserve the old, they actively conquer it and completely change its purpose.
Yes, the physical transformation of the city.
Exactly. That brings us to the physical spaces themselves. When you dig into these 2026 itineraries, there is a massive cultural renaissance happening, specifically revolving around how Estonia reclaims abandoned heavy industrial spaces to fuel a booming arts and music scene.
And Telskivi Creative City is arguably the prime example of this reclamation.
Yes. I kept seeing Telskivi mentioned everywhere in the guides. It looks like this gritty, sprawling train yard, but it is actually the epicenter of the city's modern culture.
It really is the heart of it all now.
It was founded in 2007 by a visionary named Janus Juss. This place used to be a massive Baltic railway factory complex. It was all heavy machinery and soot. And now, it houses over 300 companies.
And something like 90% of them are creative enterprises.
Yeah. The old brick walls are covered in massive, incredible murals and street art. It's got independent theaters, roasteries, and it is home to Fotografiska Tallinn,
which is a world-class photography center that actually originated in Stockholm. And, it is really worth noting how deeply they layer these experiences.
What does it mean by layering?
Well, the restaurant inside Fotografiska isn't just a basic museum cafe. It is run by top chef Peter Pyle, and it holds a green Michelin star for sustainable gastronomy.
Wait, so just to track the layers here.
Yeah.
You are eating Michelin-recognized, zero-waste, sustainable food inside a cutting-edge contemporary photography museum, which is housed inside a reclaimed Soviet-era railway factory.
Yes.
Exactly that.
The texture of that experience is just incredible. And Telskivi isn't just a static location you visit, right? It's the beating heart for global festivals. Like, in mid-April of 2026, it serves as a central hub for Tallinn Music Week.
That festival is fascinating because it essentially transforms the entire city into one sprawling, interconnected live music venue.
From April 9th to the 12th.
Right. It brings in avant-garde and mainstream artists from more than 40 different countries, and they're playing in bars, churches, and old factories.
And right on its heels, you have Jazz Car later in April, bringing in absolute legends like the award-winning U.S. guitarist Bill Frenzel.
Jazz Car is huge. It is. But if you want sheer, stadium-shaking scale, 2026 is bringing massive acts to Tallinn. If you look at the stadium bills for the summer, you have Swedish House Mafia, Kings of Leon, Lenny Kravitz, and the Scorpions playing the Tallinn Rock Festival.
That is a massive lineup.
We are talking about an enormous influx of global sound crashing into these historical spaces. And visually, they're pushing those boundaries too. Look at the Kumu Art Museum.
Oh, Kumu is spectacular. It's the main building of the Art Museum of Estonia. And it's an architectural marvel on its own, built right into the limestone cliff of Lasnamäe.
Right, but what caught my eye in their 2026 exhibition calendar is a show called Triumph of Galatea. It explores classical art forms in the age of artificial intelligence.
So there's that contrast again.
Again, the broken time machine. You have oil paintings and marble colliding with generative AI.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we are really talking about is a deeply intentional philosophy of reclamation.
Reclamation, yeah.
Estonia is taking spaces that were originally built for heavy mechanical industry or even dark military purposes, like the Patarei Sea Fortress, which has a deeply complex and heavy history.
Very heavy history, yeah.
And they are actively rewriting the narrative of those bricks and mortar. By turning a railway factory into Telliskivi, or utilizing raw industrial sites for vibrant, free expression, they are taking physical ownership of their timeline.
Reclaiming the space for themselves.
Exactly. It's a way of saying, this space used to represent grueling labor or foreign influence. Today, it is ours. It represents our creativity, our music, and our future.
That is incredibly powerful. You aren't just visiting a museum, you are walking through a society actively healing and evolving.
Absolutely.
But to truly understand that Estonian soul, you absolutely have to look beyond the city walls.
Yeah.
You have to leave the concrete and the cobblestones to see how the culture reacts to nature.
Because nature in this part of the world, well, it doesn't do anything in half measures.
No, it operates on wild extremes.
Right.
Especially when it comes to the shifting of the light.
Oh, the light is incredible.
Which brings us to the famous white nights and the legendary Estonian summer. If you are there for Midsummer's Eve, or St. John's Day in late June, the mechanics of the daylight are almost hard to comprehend.
June 23rd and 24th, generally.
Right. The sun rises around 4:00 a.m., and it doesn't actually set until nearly 10:45 p.m.
And even then, it doesn't get truly dark. You have almost 19 hours of visible, direct daylight. And then the sun essentially just skirts the horizon.
Leaving this crazy twilight, right?
Yeah, leaving this eerie, beautiful twilight all night long.
Okay, I have to stop you there and ask a very practical question on behalf of everyone listening.
Uh-oh, go for it.
19 hours of daylight sounds incredibly cool in theory, but as someone who desperately needs 8 hours of sleep in a pitch black room, this sounds like a biological nightmare.
It can be an adjustment, definitely.
How does anyone survive the sheer physical exhaustion of this? How is a culture functioning when it is basically a month-long sunlit rave?
It is a marathon, absolutely. But it is a marathon fueled by a very specific, deeply ingrained cultural necessity. To understand why the Estonian summer is so relentless, you really have to understand the Estonian winter.
Right, the dark half of the year.
Exactly. During the winter months, the days are incredibly short, cold, and dark. The culture copes with this isolation through cozy indoor events. For example, the Tallinn Black Nights Film Festival in November draws over 90,000 attendees.
Wait, 90,000?
Exactly, 90,000. That is 90,000 people snuggling up in dark theaters to watch international cinema. It is a vital coping mechanism for the physical darkness outside.
That makes so much sense.
So when the summer finally arrives and the sun simply refuses to set, it triggers a frenetic, deeply necessary release of pent-up communal energy.
Like a pressure valve.
Exactly. They don't sleep because they've just spent 6 months in the dark. The summer is their fleeting opportunity to absorb as much light, music, and human connection as humanly possible. It sustains them. It's a biological and cultural balancing act.
And that explosion of energy fuels a string of festivals that just sound utterly wild. Take the Island Sound Festival in mid-July.
July 16th to the 19th.
Right. Yeah. It is held on the breathtaking Iliku Islet. And the vibe is just incredibly unique. Like you wake up, you do morning yoga on the grass while a DJ spins ambient electronic beats.
Sounds incredibly relaxing.
It does. You wander through immersive art installations built into the trees, and then you dance under a sky that never quite gets dark with the Baltic Sea always in view. Then just a week later, you have the Viljandi Folk Festival.
Viljandi is legendary. It runs July 23rd to the 26th.
And what's the theme for 2026?
The 2026 theme is To Each Their Own Instrument. It is one of the longest running music festivals in the region, set in these massive, dramatic castle ruins overlooking a pristine lake.
And it is not just, polite clapping in a grassy field. It is a full carnival atmosphere.
Yeah.
You have incredible artists like the Estonian group Duo Root playing traditional zithers with a modern twist.
Those are fantastic.
You've got buskers filling the medieval streets and spontaneous jam sessions in the castle ruins that start at first light and literally last until dawn, which again is almost the entire day.
Practically 24 hours of music.
Or if you want something grander, there is the Saaremaa Opera Festival. They build a massive temporary open-air opera house with 2,000 seats right in the courtyard of the Kuressaare Castle ruins.
And of course, if you are traveling with family or if you simply need a break from the relentless festival noise, there are quiet escapes too.
Oh, good, because I might need a nap.
You can drive out to the Egvidu Korvema Nature Park for incredibly pristine, silent forests and bog walks. Or if you want to stay in Tallinn, you can check out the Seaplane Harbor, which is this massive maritime museum where you can actually climb inside a real 1930s era submarine.
So what does this all mean? We've talked about time traveling through digital tech hubs and medieval fairs. We've talked about reclaiming massive factories from Michelin star art. And we've talked about the extreme swing from dark winter cinemas to endless summer folk festivals.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But all of this exploring, all of this dancing and inventing requires fuel. And if we look at the culinary timeline, Estonia's food scene serves as an incredible edible archive of all the areas we've just discussed. You can literally taste the history.
The culinary landscape is essentially a museum you can eat. Every dish, every dining room reflects a specific era of survival and adaptation.
Let's trace that timeline of tastes. If you want the peak of old world elegance, you visit Cafe Maya Smoke.
Which has been open since 1864, right?
Yes, 1864, making it the oldest operational cafe in Tallinn. The interior is virtually untouched, lots of dark wood and brass, and they have an entire room dedicated strictly to marzipan.
Which is a fascinating historical footnote in itself. Marzipan was historically sold in town hall pharmacies as a medicine.
Wait, medicine?
Yeah, it was thought to cure heartbreak and improve brain function long before it became a sweet confection.
I could definitely use some medicinal marzipan after a long week. But then you jump forward a full century to the 1960s. We have two incredibly distinct culinary landmarks from that era that are still thriving. First, there's Tuljak.
Tuljak is stunning.
Built in 1964, it is a masterpiece of modernist architecture. Think stark, clean lines, sweeping terraces, and massive panes of glass. It has been completely renovated and now serves Michelin-recognized modern Estonian dishes.
And then there is Narvakovic.
Yes, Narvakovic.
Which has been operating for over 70 years. It is the definition of a local institution.
People flock there for the retro mid-century vibe and to eat kringles. If you haven't had one, a kringle is this beautiful braided pastry, often scented with cardamom, and they come in sweet or savory varieties.
They are delicious.
So good. People sit there swapping stories over coffee, and it's an entirely different slice of time compared to the medieval bear stew or the 19th century marzipan. And if you want to see where the modern culinary clash happens in real time today, you go to the Baltic Station Market. It is a chaotic, wonderful, multi-level mix where traditional farmers selling fresh dill and wild berries are rubbing shoulders with cutting-edge experimental street food vendors.
And we absolutely cannot forget the take-home edible history.
Oh, the souvenirs. You have to talk about the souvenirs. You've got Kalev Chocolates, a beloved company whose roots trace all the way back to 1806.
And then you have Vanatallin liqueur.
Yes, Vanatallin.
Invented in 1960. It is a very distinct warming blend of rum, citrus oils, and exotic spices like cinnamon and vanilla.
And here is a fantastic insider tip for you. Kalev actually makes a Vanatallin cream chocolate, seamlessly merging those two massive historic brands into one perfect, bite-sized piece of history.
This raises an important question, though. How does what we eat reflect the survival and evolution of a society?
That's a great point.
If you look closely at the Estonian menu, it is a living archive of resilience. The medieval barley and mead tell the story of the powerful Hanseatic trade routes that first brought wealth to the shores.
Right.
The meticulously preserved 1864 cafe speaks to a period of European romanticism and an emerging local bourgeoisie.
And the 1960s places.
The 1960s modernist buildings and spiced liqueurs tell a story of finding unique cultural expression and comfort during a deeply restrictive era.
Wow.
And today's modern, Michelin-recognized farm-to-table menus located in reclaimed factories. That is the taste of a fully independent, fiercely confident nation that respects its roots while relentlessly innovating.
It's all connected.
Exactly. The cuisine doesn't just feed the body, it tells the story of a culture successfully adapting through time without ever losing its recipe for identity.
It really is a masterclass in holding on to exactly who you are while simultaneously becoming exactly who you want to be.
Well said.
So, to summarize the journey we have taken you on today, if you are heading to Estonia in 2026, you need to prepare yourself for an experience that simply refuses to be categorized by time.
It's a full-spectrum experience.
It really is. You might start your morning pulling a wet pickle out of a barrel in a candlelit 15th century tavern at Theatre Khan. By the afternoon, you could be marveling at artificial intelligence generating art on the limestone walls of the Kumu Art Museum.
And by night?
Or whatever passes for night during the endless twilight of summer. You could be dancing under 19 hours of sunlight to electronic beats on an islet, or jamming to zither music in the ruins of a medieval castle at Viljandi. It is a place where every century is happening all at once, and it's entirely by design.
It is a remarkable societal achievement, and it leaves you with a thought I really hope you carry with you long after this deep dive ends.
What's it?
We talked a lot about e-residency and Estonia's push to become a borderless digital society. It makes you wonder, if a country's bureaucracy, its businesses, and its civic infrastructure all live entirely in the cloud, does that actually free up their historical physical spaces?
Oh, that's an interesting angle.
Right. By moving the machinery of society online, perhaps they have liberated their brick-and-mortar past to be purely dedicated to art, food, music, and human connection.
Making space for what matters.
Exactly. It suggests a fascinating paradox. Maybe the more digital our lives get, the more physical and tactile our culture is allowed to become. True progress might not require tearing down the old. It might just require having the digital imagination to repurpose it.
I absolutely love that. We don't have to break the time machine dial. We just have to learn how to live fully in all the eras at once. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. It has been an absolute pleasure to unpack this curated blueprint for you.
It's been great.
Whether you end up leaping over a bonfire in the endless summer of 2026, or you just track down some Tallinn chocolate to enjoy in your living room, we hope you found a little bit of inspiration for your next great adventure. Until next time, keep exploring, and goodbye to you all.